Good morning. How are you all today? Just double checking that I'm live because Facebook being Facebook doesn't always tell me. There we go. Happy days, happy days. Let me know what the crack is. How are you today? Is life treating you well? We have a full moon today. So how are you feeling? How are you feeling today? Let me know. Are you feeling a bit tired? Are you feeling a bit achy? Are you feeling a little bit under pressure? And I ask that simply because with this full moon today on January 25th, 2024, which is today that I'm recording this, we have a full moon in Leo, and this moon in particular might stir up a few heightened emotions for you. Full moons usually do. But it may also highlight a few things. It's like you might have the light of awareness on you. You might be visible, even if you don't want to be. You might be feeling like you're being seen, or maybe that you're not being seen and you need to be. Yeah, so it's I want to reassure you today that just take it easy today and just settle in and listen to what's going on in your body. Listen to what's happening within yourself. Give yourself that grace of just easing into your day, whatever may be coming. We've got really interesting energy going on. We've got obviously a full moon in Leo. Okay, and Leo's a really exuberant sign as well. So we've got the brightness of the moon and that real sort of pride and fieriness of Leo, and the two coming together. The water of the moon and the fire of Leo coming together, and it can be kind of explosive. The water can put the fire out, of course, but it can also, the fire can boil the water, can make it go really, really steamy. So, which end of the spectrum are you on with it? And it will depend on where you are personally. It will also depend on your own birth chart. I wholeheartedly urge you to get yourself over to White Oak Astrology's page. Belle has given a beautiful long description of what the energy is like today for the moon. And it's really, really, there will be something in there that will speak to your soul. So I would urge you to get yourself over to Belle's page and have a look about this full moon today. And let me know once you catch this video, let me know, are you affected by the full moon? Does it, how are you feeling today? Added to that moon, though, we have got Pluto, who has moved into Aquarius, and it's going to sit there in Aquarius until September, and it's going to move back out again for a couple of months and then go back in November and stay there for 40 odd years. So this is a taster now. Between now and September is a taster of potentially the next 40 years. So we are going to have to get used to this energy. Okay, we are slowly but surely moving into the Aquarian era. We are moving into a time of more collaboration, of more community, of more compassion and more humanitarian vibes, which is desperately, desperately needed in our world at this moment in time. So it's really, really important that you start to tap into this energy. Now, the thing about it is, you might be feeling that you're being pulled kicking and screaming into new technologies, into new innovations, into new things. And that's the Aquarian energy. It's that sort of fast paced, really innovative, the air sign that it is. It's all this stuff that's going on that's bringing all this stuff up for you. And add that, so Pluto in Aquarius and the full moon in Leo, we have got some potent fireworks going on today. It's all a wee bit, you know, you might feel a little bit on edge, or a little bit like, ooh, maybe fizzy inside. So whatever's going on with you, just breathe into it. Let me know in the comments once you catch this what's going on with you. But we have four cards. The tarot cards, as usual, don't let us down. We have four cards, as usual, from the Light Seers Tarot deck by Chris Ann. And we have got some big energies and big hitters at play today. So we have got the Lovers. We have got the Queen of Cups. We have got the Three of Swords. And we have got the Empress. So we have got two big major arcanas bookending this reading. We have got the Lovers at one side and the Empress at the other. We have also then got this real sort of opposites of the serenity of the Queen of Cups and the absolute heartbreak and pain of the Three of Swords. And these two things are coming together. So there's lots of different ways that this might hit home for you. And it just depends on where you're at personally. You fizzy today, Arlene? Yeah, there is a fizziness in the air. There definitely is, of this sort of, I don't know. It's like a little bit of anticipation. Maybe something's coming, and something is coming. Obviously, we're moving into the Aquarian age, so we're going to have more stuff coming. More and more people are awakening to their spirituality. More and more people are sick and tired of the warmongering and the fear and the fracturing of our planet. And the more of us that can step into that love and compassion and start to spread that energy out into the world, the better world it will be, which I think is where the Empress is coming in here. But we've got to get through this dark night of the soul with the three of swords first. So let's take a look. The Lovers card has come up. So the Lovers card speaks of this sort of this need, this intense and insane and human need, in just really desire, this desire-based need, really primal need to be connected to other people. It doesn't necessarily mean a romantic relationship, but it can mean being in a community space. It can mean being surrounded by people who you feel get you and who understand you and who know who you are. That connection to each other is an intrinsic value that we have as human beings. We are pack animals. We are not meant to be solitary. We're not supposed to try and do it all by ourselves. We need to come together. So this card speaks of that collaboration, speaks of coming together with people, of finding your people, finding your community, finding your space. Now, this can manifest in lots of different ways. So it might well be relationships. It might be that you need to you know, check in with the people that you're surrounding yourself with. What are your relationships like? Do you feel valued? Are you giving of yourself to the relationship and getting something back? Are you equal participants in that relationship? But likewise as well, it might mean that, do you need to look around at your workplace, and do you feel seen and valued there? Do you feel seen and valued in the community spaces that you are in? Are you taking advantage of any of those spaces that you're in? Quite a lot of times we join different spaces and then we instantly hide. We don't show up. We don't appear to engage. It gets a little bit like, oh, I might be seen, so we hide away. And this full moon today is going to really poke that. It's going to really be like, you need to be seen now, whether you want to be or not, and you need to come together in open communication. So the Lovers card is ruled by Gemini, and Mercury is the ruling planet of Gemini. So we've got essences of communication here as well, and about clear communication. Actually knowing what it is you want to say and how you want to be seen and how you want to be heard will be very, very important. And this Lovers card is really highlighting that, really, really highlighting that today. So bear in mind that this is going on under the same. We've got a lot of red in this card as well. So there's a lot of fire and a lot of passion. And again, I think that's a nod to the full moon in Leo, that fiery moon sitting there today. That's just, it's coming up. Full moons are always about a time for release, a time for gratitude as well. Maybe is it a time to start thinking about what needs to be let go so that you can step forward into this new age of Aquarius that we're stepping into slowly, slowly, slowly over the next few hundred years. From an astrological point of view, we're gradually shifting into the age of Aquarius. There will be a massive shift, and all the old stuff has to break down and go away. And it's very apparent that's what's going on in the world. Old regimes, they're putting up struggles and wars left, right, and centre, but this will all have to end because humanitarian people will not stand for this much longer, and it's this sort of vibe that we're really feeling. So we've got the Lovers coming in and saying, you got to find that collaboration, you got to find that love, you've got to find that support. The self-love as well is really important. And if you're doing any sort of healing work, it can be very painful, and you need to give yourself some love and some nurturing, so it's about coming into that space and loving yourself and being surrounded with that love and compassion and finding your people along the way. The Queen of Cups then comes in as well. Queen of Cups is a gorgeous card. Look at the energy in this card, where we have a lot of blue cooling down the fire of this Lovers card. We've got a lot of blue coming down the water of the Queen of Cups. She's sitting up to her waist in water with the cup floating. She's got her hands up in a surrender in a receptive position. She's got her eyes closed, looking upwards, gorgeous sort of crown above her head. She's connected to the divine. She's connected to her intuition. She's connected to her emotions. And she's just really in that Zen space. And that's lovely. That's a fabulous space to be. But we can't stay there all the time. Okay, we just can't, much as we'd like to. We can't take ourselves all up the mountain and just sit in meditation and hope that things will get better. But what we can do is tap into our emotions. We can tap into what's going on beneath the surface. We can tap into the intuitive messages and start to develop that. But the key thing with the Queen of Cups is that the Queen of Cups is the most deeply intuitive and emotionally, one of the most emotionally mature cards in the tarot deck. But she's not very pragmatic. She doesn't take a lot of action. She gets all the messages, and she does all the things, and she's all really zen, and she's really in touch with her emotions, and she's really in flow. She's really sitting in that feminine energy. But we need a little bit of fire too. We need a little bit of structure. We need a little bit of something to channel that. We need action, because awareness without action doesn't equate to anything. You can be as aware as anything of everything that's going on, but if you don't take any action, then nothing will change. So the Queen of Cups is here, and I think as part of your maybe your full moon rituals later, if you're doing any card readings tonight, or if you're doing any sort of getting out and looking at the moon, or doing anything under the moon, doing your own, if you're into your spell casting or whatever you're into, whatever you're doing under tonight's full moon, you're drawing down that beautiful energy of the moon and tapping into the emotions. Let the moon illuminate those shadow spaces, and don't be afraid then to actually take action on them. Healing is painful, it's messy, it's difficult, and it's really bloody brave to undergo it. And sometimes it's easier for us just to try and bypass it by staying in the Zen space and going, I'm just going to sit in the relaxation here, and I'm not going to actually take any action. I'm just going to commune with my guides and stay here, and I'm just all love and light. But we also need a bit of the dark. And I think that's why the Three of Swords has come up today, to counterbalance this. When we start tapping into our emotions, when we start tapping into our connection to the divine source, we realize that, we are connected to a divine source, an infinite source, an abundant source. There's nothing inherently broken with us, but we are here to experience a human life and to experience the lessons along the way. And that includes lessons that come from maybe broken hearts and from love and from connections, and maybe from having to let people go, and maybe having to step into different circles, step out of certain places. What is the collaboration? What is the love that you need to give yourself? What is the community space you need to give yourself? Connecting in with your emotions, connecting in with that deep intuition. Okay. But as part of that, then honoring what comes up, honoring any heartbreak that comes up, honoring any pain that comes up. Look at the pain in this card. This card depicts this woman screaming at a heart that's being ripped apart. It's a painful card. There's no other words for it. This is a painful card. But this card, I think, is really symbolic of what's going on in our external world right now. This symbolic sort of card of the fracture of our society, of the pain that's out there, and the difficulty that's out there, and the wars and the famines and the terrorism and the all the stuff, all the stuff that we don't want. Not to mention then the stuff that comes in your own life. A lot of this then gets mirrored back into our own lives. We're part of a collective consciousness. So if you're surrounding yourself by all that fear, you're gonna experience it. But likewise, if you're going to start tapping into deep, deep emotions and open yourself up to spirituality, you've got to be ready for a dark night of the soul. And it's not something to fear. It's actually sometimes where your strength lies, because the heart can never really break. If you look at the card, it looks like it's being pulled apart, but it's all stitched together, and it can't actually fracture completely, because the human heart's stronger than that. Our spirit is stronger than that, and we can sometimes we have to be unsettled. Sometimes things have to get really bloody painful before we'll take any change. We're all a wee bit like lobsters, aren't we? Where we a lobster will keep growing, but its shell doesn't grow with it. And it gets so uncomfortable in the shell that's too small for it, that it finally has to be really vulnerable, come out of the shell and be really, really, really vulnerable until its new shell hardens around its body. And that's what this card feels like. It's that vulnerability that comes when you are brave enough to tap in to the connection to the source energy, and it starts to make you question everything around you. But the good news is that once you get past this Queen, or this Three of Swords, that there is hope for a new world because we've got the Empress coming in here. What I love about this card in particular is we've got a full moon up here, and she's like kind of all the little dots from the moon are being drawn down into her. It's like she's putting them into her hair, and they're coming down around her body, all around the earth that is her pregnant belly in the card. And it's like she's drawn down that energy of the moon. So again, it speaks to that cycle, and it speaks to me today about the full moon, that this is an important time for us to actually birth a new way of being, for us to birth a new world. We have it within us. We have the power within ourselves to choose how we shape our reality. We can choose to take part in the war games and the fear mongering and the destruction and the decimation and all the stuff. We can choose to take part in all of that. Or we can choose a new way. We can choose to put love into the world, to be kind to people, to share with people, to open our hearts to people rather than closing off. And the Empress has given us the promise of, yes, there may be pain that we might have to go through, but we have the promise of a brand new world to be birthed as a result. Because can you imagine how beautiful it would be if everybody decided that they were going to step into love and compassion? Imagine for one day that every single person, all 8 billion plus people that live on this planet, for one day chose love instead of fear, chose to be kind instead of hateful, chose to smile instead of frown, and chose to reach out a hand instead of pulling it back. Imagine what a different world we would have. And that's the promise that the Empress gives us after these cards we've just had. So it's an interesting set of cards this week, and quite a hard hitting message for us. Obviously, they can be interpreted in a multiple different ways depending on what's going on with you. But let me just see what you've said. This is true for you, Arlene, with the coaching part of your life, with joining a new club, and you're a Gemini. Absolutely. Um, and anything worthwhile is always rough before the smooth. Well, this is true. This is true. And it would be amazing, Anne Marie, if everybody kind of got together and built this beautiful new world. Can you imagine? But we can hold that energy, we can hold that intention. And I know a lot of people go, well, what use is that? What use is, meditating? What use is prayer? What use is, holding the intention and the vision for a new reality if you're not taking any action? And there's an element of that, but you are taking action. Because as you raise your energetic signature and you raise your energetic vibration, what's actually happening is that you start to hold the balance for those who aren't. And gradually, more and more people hold the balance of love, and it pulls the other people with us. And then, in turn, we tip into that beautiful new Aquarian age that has been so talked about and so promised. We might not see it in our lifetime, but that doesn't mean that we can't lay really solid foundations for the generations to come by being the way showers, by showing people that it's okay to have an open heart, that it's okay to love people, to care, to show compassion and to show love. And that starts with you. So you've got to show yourself compassion. You've got to show yourself love. So the lover's card could mean the aspects of that self-love as well, but making sure you're surrounding yourself. As I said earlier, as we're moving into this Aquarian area, it's going to be more and more and more important that you surround yourself with the people who make you tick, the people who know what makes you tick. So you're going to need to surround yourself with, good community support, whether in person or online. You're going to need to have people around you that you can lean on, people you can talk to, coming into spaces together, using those spaces, collaborating, sharing love, sharing compassion, raising that vibration. Okay. Making sure that if you are in a relationship that you are both equal partners in that relationship and doing whatever work is needed to make that the case so that it's strong and it's stable and it's a relationship that will really nourish you rather than take from you, you know. Tapping into your emotions, tapping into what's going on beneath the surface, really opening up to the awareness that there's so much more out there than what we see in this physical reality. There's so much bigger, really holding on to that, acknowledging the pain, holding on to that dark night of the soul and moving your way through it and letting it go, honoring and trying to do your best to not add to the pain in the world and to try and do something to improve it, remembering that the human heart can never fully break and it gets stronger and stronger. So the more open we allow that heart to be, the easier we can move through this period. But you might need to let some stuff go. The old stuff's going to have to go to make way for the new, and that can feel painful sometimes. And then the Empress tells us there's a promise of a new world. So hold on to that. Let me know what you think. Let me know what's going on with you in the comments. Hey, Rebecca. Yeah, compassion is something that we all need for ourselves. Absolutely something that we all desperately need for ourselves. But hopefully, folks, the cards have spoken to you. If you missed the start, you can catch up on the replay. It will be on in a few seconds once Facebook processes it. But let me know what you think once you've listened to it all. Let me know what's going on with you, and may the odds be ever in your favour tonight with the full moon and the energies that are at play. Just go easy today. Tempers and tensions can be high under a full moon in Leo, so just breathe your way through it. Put your hand on your heart and just give yourself that permission to be here now. Focus on what's going on with you. You don't need to be dragged into all the stuff that's going on around you. And if you missed the announcement as well, folks, just to let you know, those of you who've been working with me in Heal all week, there's been a couple of announcements. I decided last night during the live session that I was going to extend out the time to give people time to catch up and do the replays before I'll do the prize draw. So the prize draw normally happens on the Friday night. I'm going to do it on Sunday, so it's going to give you an extra few days just to catch up. So if you've been in the Heal experience and you haven't had a chance to do the daily tasks, you have an extra couple of days before I will then be checking to see who's been the engaged people in there, who's been taking part, and I will be adding those names to a prize draw list to give away some amazing prizes from some really fabulous people. So you've got an extra few days to do that. And you've also got an extra few days to, the doors are open for Soul Food Circle. So if you want to find that community and you want to find that space, you can certainly do that. So I will drop the link into the comments for you. And you can also find it on my cover photo. So if you want to go onto my profile, you'll find all the information there. But if you're in the Heal challenge and the Heal experience, pop over there, make sure you're taking part in all the various things that are going on, and you'll get your name added to the prize draw. And we'll be doing that on Sunday night instead of Friday. So I can't wait to do that inside the group. But for now, let me know once you've had a chance to listen to the full reading what you think of the cards this week. Do they speak to you? Is there something going on in your own life that this speaks to? And whatever's going on, just be gentle with yourself today. Take a deep breath, but do honour the moon. Get yourself out there tonight and look up at her beauty. And just remember that there's a bigger picture, and sometimes we can't see every single step along the way. I'll speak to you next week.